Hello and welcome back to this edition of Burgers and Fries. I am Anthony, aka Desert Coyote 22. With me, as always, is Pencil Dick, aka TT Burger 88. Wait,
Hello.
that's not your name, is it?
No, it's Tony, but you know my name anyway.
Okay. And then we also have our another guest with us, Greg. How you doing today, Greg?
Doing good, Tony.
You mean Anthony or Tony?
Anthony. Sorry.
Well, we're both Tony and okay, there you go. This one, it's almost going to be kind of a retrospective on just basically the whole pandemic, the whole COVID-19 bullshit. And obviously, it's a play on 28 days later. This is 28 months later. Because again, when did the pandemic start? March of 2020. And then we're basically at about 28 months later as we go from July into August. Wouldn't you both agree?
Oh, yes,
Yep.
I agree.
Right. So, all right. Now, the news just came out today, and one of the big ringleaders of the lockdowns and the restrictions, the guy who says that he represents science, Dr. Anthony Fauci, says he plans to resign in December. And this is just coming out of the news. So, what do you make of that?
Honestly, I'm glad the quack's gonna get stepping down.
Tony, any thoughts on that?
No, and I don't have any thoughts on it because I know you guys don't like him and stuff like that, but I do like him. I wish he wouldn't step down, but I guess there's nothing that we can say or do to stop him.
Sissy.
Tony, why do you like Dr. Fauci?
He was speaking the truth about what Donald Trump. He was the only who's trying to protect us by wearing the mask like that, because Trump didn't want us wearing masks like that, and because of that, more and more people were getting infected with the COVID.
Dr. Fauci at first was quoted saying you don't need to wear masks. He actually was against masks in the beginning of the pandemic. You don't remember that?
No, I don't.
Of course you don't. He flip-flopped back and forth on so many of the guidelines and the issues. At first, no, we don't need to wear the masks, and then all of a sudden you need to wear a mask. And then eventually it was the double mask bullshit. Like, this guy kept flip-flopping, and just a bunch of new shit just kept coming up. And, of course, the CDC kept following his every whim. That's what it felt like going on. You agree, Greg?
Yep.
Anything you want to add?
Come on, Tony.
Oh, I thought you were talking to Greg.
Well, I'm talking to both of you, and this is the open forum where you're allowed to talk about as you please.
Well, I mean, Anthony Fauci was trying to warn us that yes, you have to wear masks and start that, and Trump was saying, "Oh no, we'll be fine, and
No, at first he was saying don't wear them.
Well,
And then when the narrative changed, then he said wear them. And then you're forgetting that Donald Trump at first tried to implement travel bans from China, and then people called Donald Trump a racist. And then you had Nancy Pelosi going, "Oh no, I'm in Chinatown. Come visit Chinatown." Back before the pandemic took effect. There were things Donald Trump was trying to do when it started to get serious over it. You cannot say that Donald Trump didn't try to do anything.
Indeed.
So do you think as Republicans think that he is resigning out of fear of being investigated, Greg? Or do you think, Tony, he's just resigning because he just wants to move on? Oh, I'm just ready to get the next stage of my career. Okay, what next phase? You're in your 80s.
maybe
You don't have to do anything else.
Maybe he wants to retire. I mean, he's in his 80s. He probably wants to retire.
Okay, that could be it too.
Mostly, they got something more for the quack. And as I do recall that, I think it was during around the 1980s AIDS epidemic, or whatever it's supposed to be. I do recall that there was supposed to be, he said to take the vaccines for the AIDS, but as I think I do recall that most people died from it.
I haven't looked too much into it, but I've been told that Dr. Fauci actually did a huge mess up he got a lot of people wrongly fearing things. Like, he got people thinking, oh, AIDS is transmitted by contact or just touching a person with AIDS. Like, before people realized, no, it was basically either a sexually transmitted disease or it was transmitted via blood or contaminated needles that have been in contaminated blood. But he was going on thinking, oh no, it's airborne, it's all this other stuff. And this guy was wrong about AIDS in the 1980s, so why the fuck did people think this guy is gospel?
Because he's supposed to be part of the government, or...
But wasn't he part of the funding in the Wuhan labs? Like, wasn't he funding the labs in the Wuhan province of China that ultimately led to the lab leak? That led to this virus becoming an outbreak?
Yep. He knew about the virus and funded the people that made it.
This doesn't sound like that good of a guy, does he, Tony? I mean, do you remember? Okay, and then speaking of vaccines, Tony, do you remember during the elections you had Kamala Harris and Joe Biden going, "Oh no, if Donald Trump gets the vaccine out, no, I don't trust it. I'm not going to take the shot." Remember any of them saying that?
I do, and I agreed with them. I didn't trust.
Okay, but then when Joe Biden took office, and then when he started making it a mandate that all the employees had to take one, large businesses had to implement a vaccine mandate, all of a sudden you were for that?
Well, because whatever Trump would have done, it wouldn't have worked because, he doesn't know anything about medicine. He's just a businessman.
Neither does Biden.
Yeah, but at least he was actually the president, unlike Trump, who was a freaking businessman, a corrupt businessman who lost a lot of his businesses and stuff.
But again, you don't see the hypocrisy and the double standard. When it was Donald Trump in office, you were not going to trust the vaccine. And then if Donald Trump told you to take the vaccine, you were going to resist. And then the same people that were running against him saying, "Oh no, we're going to resist the vaccine." But then all of a sudden they're in power, then they were forcing you to take the vaccine. You don't see any hypocrisy or double standard in that, Tony.
Nope.
Why?
Because whatever kind of vaccine Trump would have pulled out, it wouldn't have worked. Nobody trusted the guy. I didn't.
The vaccines that came out that we ended up taking were started by Trump, dude.
That's probably why a lot of them didn't work.
Are you sure about that? Maybe.
Yes.
Okay. What vaccine did you take?
I took Moderna.
Okay, I took the J&J. Do you have any problems with the vaccine?
Well, the side effects I had where I felt woozy and tired and stuff, and where I felt like I was hungover when I wasn't.
Okay, I felt zero effects from the vaccine, just a sore arm. You only want to say that it didn't work, because it was Donald Trump that helped kickstart it. Good God, man.
Just in my opinion.
Yeah, but your opinion is wrong.
As usual.
But, okay, fine. Enough about Dr. Fauci. I think he is a disgrace to science. I think that I hated how during the whole pandemic, you were not allowed to even question what against the narrative. And even if you were a doctor or somebody of a prestigious background, and if you were coming out saying you don't agree with it, all of a sudden you were censored. So, but they were telling us to trust our doctor, and then if our doctor didn't agree with what was going on, that doctor is a quack. Like, no hypocrisy there?
Yep.
Especially here in California, my building was closed for 18 months. So from March of 2020 to June of 2021. And for those who follow the other stuff that I do online, you know where I work and what I do. For those who don't, then it's an open secret at this point. But I work for the city of Los Angeles, and the building that I work at was closed to the public for 18 months. And then a lot of tourist destinations in LA were closed for a long time. So there was no tourist revenue, but then LA decided to cry budget crisis because they just wouldn't open up. Meanwhile, remember the video that came out where you had a woman who had even though she was trying to follow the guidelines, still had her restaurant closed down because they claimed it wasn't following guidelines. Meanwhile, the film production crew was right next to her and allowed to operate, and no problem.
Hypocrisy there.
Like, you obviously agree, Tony, with the sentiment of, you're helping everybody. You got to do it all for the greater good. You got to do it because you're not selfish, right, Tony? Like, you agree with that sentiment?
Yes, I agree.
Okay, but then it becomes null and void the moment you notice Arby's and Walmart stay open while health food emporiums and meditation centers and churches were shut down. All the big tech, all the big companies like Amazon and Walmart, all the big corporations supported the lockdowns because that knew the small businesses wouldn't take a chunk of their income. Like, if there was going to be a lockdown, it should have been applied across the board. So for them to pick and choose, or for them to designate immedately, this can stay open, but this can't.
Yeah, I didn't get that the retail stores were able to stay open because, that wasn't a good. I didn't like that at all because, me that I work in retail and stuff, and, I didn't work at this place during the pandemic, but still, imagine if we were open during the pandemic, how much of a risk it was.
Tony, every day it's a risk. Even if there's no pandemic going on, every day you're risking something. Every meal you're eating, you're risking the wrong bacteria being ingested. Or you go to a restaurant, you don't know if the cook that made the meal spat in it or didn't wash his hands. Or anytime you drive in a car, you don't know if the car that's passing by you at 55 miles per hour is drunk and going to hit you. It's a risk every day. I don't know if I'm going to catch COVID. Right, it's a risk. So why shut down everything? Because we were afraid of catching a virus you had a very little chance of getting, but you also had a very great chance of surviving.
Yep. I know I forgot to mention this in the last one, that, let me guys ask you this. Do you know what Time's Up is?
No.
Isn't that a Me Too movement thing?
Yep. And, well, I remember reading an article about, as well as people on YouTube point out, saying that the Time's Up movement took a lot of money from the organization and just gave it to the actresses to pay off their bills and all that.
Oh, and didn't BLM do the same thing? Haven't the founders of BLM been caught just using the money that was given to them through donations, and then they used it to buy mansions in Los Angeles instead of giving it to the community centers they were supposed to fund?
Yep.
People just making out like bandits in this pandemic when people were suffering. How nice. Come on, Tony, what do you got to bring to this?
I don't know what to say.
And, well, from my experience, well, the mask I had to wear during the time, well, the one it's kind of like the ones that the doctors wear, which it really irritated my ears and all that.
Oh yeah, the masks that I remember like they were actually giving out those N95 masks and stuff, which were actually free of charge and look cool, but they just didn't really, they weren't really that helpful. All mine are in the laundry room, sitting in the cabinet collecting dust.
So, okay, we're bringing up masks. Overall, okay, Tony, do you think the mask rules actually worked, or did they help, or did they not help?
I think it was 50-50. For some people it did help, and other people it did not help. Because
so people that were sick, it probably helped them make sure they weren't going to spread any germs or cough or sneezing on them. Okay, that's understandable. Do you think that kids should have been wearing them?
Well, schools can, a lot of germs can be spread throughout schools and stuff with kids. So yes, I do agree I do believe that kids should be wearing them in school. Should have.
However, didn't it really come out that it really didn't affect kids that much?
It did, but at the time there was
really no zero benefit to having kids wearing them.
Well, at the time we didn't know, so that's the thing.
Okay, but then when we did know, they still kept them on. It took them a long time before they said, now you don't have to wear them. But then even I keep hearing that, oh, we might have to bring masks back in school, which I think is bullshit. So I didn't think they did dick. Okay, so for me, there were lots of times when I thought masks didn't make a lick of sense. So do any of you remember going into restaurants when you had to wear masks?
Uh-huh, I do, definitely.
Yep.
And do you think they made sense in a restaurant?
No, because you're going to be eating and food could get on it.
Right. So it made no sense when you entered a restaurant, you still had to have them on. If you had to get up and walk around, you still had to have them on. But if you were sitting down and eating, you could have them off. So what? Did sitting down just create this magic barrier? Or was the virus not transmittable under 4 feet? And remember, when you're in an airplane, you're in a pressurized cabin sharing the same air with everybody, all right? And you were told that you had to keep them on unless you were eating or drinking. So there were moments when you were allowed to have them off. So that pretty much meant, okay, these masks weren't really doing dick. And did you notice that half of the people wearing masks either had the strap twisted, which actually opened up airways on the sides of the mask, and you can practically still see their chins. Again, this is an airborne virus, but somehow that's okay. And then a lot of people just weren't even wearing them properly. So that's basically what told me they weren't doing anything. They're not preventing anything from being spread. Or if there are, it's very, very, very little of a difference. Especially depending on what kind of mask you were wearing. If it was the surgical mask, okay. But if it was the cloth mask, which is what most of everybody was wearing, those didn't do anything. Your opinions, gentlemen.
The cloth mask, yeah, I actually did have some of the cloth masks. They didn't really help much and stuff. I mean, like the ones that have like the straps on them and stuff like the doctor ones, those help a little bit, but like the cloth ones, no, not so much.
Greg?
Well, I was more of a resistant to wear the mask, to be honest. Heck, well, I can remember I was going to a grocery store during the pandemic. When a cashier saw me not wearing a mask, he said, and well, this is not really an insult or anything. He just came over and congratulated me, saying something like, "You're the most bravest guy I ever known."
I'm the most famous guy?
Bravest.
Oh. All right. Now, see, as a coach, I had to deal with these restrictions at the ice rinks, so it made zero sense when the players on the ice were allowed to have them off while playing. But if you were a coach who were standing on the bench, or even if you shared the same ice with the players, you had to keep your mask on as a coach. Again, the masks don't prevent the virus from coming in; they prevent it from escaping or whatever. So all that air that they were breathing, I would be getting even if I still had the mask on. So it made zero lick of sense for me to have it on the ice.
Yep.
And did you know anybody, folks, that you had a lot of people who did all the logical stuff? You know, you followed all the guidelines and they still got it?
My parents.
Yeah.
My parents, too.
Well, nobody I knew got it, but like there's like some friends of mine did.
And as
But
well as my brother, my
But they were
sister,
following. Okay.
as I was saying, as well as my brother, sisters, cousins, aunts and uncles. Well, one of them passed away from it last year.
Sorry to hear that. So we knew people, but again, we were all following the guidelines and still got it. When they said, oh, this is going to reduce the spread, it's going to help you not get it. But what also did it for me is I remember looking at the stats and seeing, okay, what is the percentage population in the states that are getting it? And I noticed, okay, a state like Florida or Texas, which was not as restrictive as states like California and New York, they still got the same percentage of people getting it with their population. So it didn't matter how much restrictions you were putting in place, people were still getting it. So it made me just kind of realize, okay, all these lockdowns and all these restrictions that they keep putting in place, who is this really for? Because it doesn't seem to be doing anything to stop it.
Maybe it's for the evil people that are afraid of getting it.
Yeah. Well, of all the people that should be getting it, it should be the evil people, right? We could both agree on that one.
Yep, because
even you would agree on that one.
Yes.
I could be wrong.
I only took the one. I only took the J&J, and that was back in, I'd say, May or June of 2021. But it was right around the time when my work made it a policy. They said, no, if you're going to work for the city of LA and work in our building, you must have the vaccine. And I remember coworkers being very like, yeah, this is awesome. And I'm just like, you don't realize what this means. This means them controlling you. That's not what you want. And at the same time, in November of 2021, my work said for visitors to enter the building in the city of Los Angeles, you must show your vaccine ID. So if you don't have a vaccine card, then you're not allowed inside the building. Okay, that was during the Omicron surge, but the Omicron surge is over, and we still are implementing it in 2022. Like, why the fuck are we still implementing it?
I have no idea.
And also, is kind of showing like a vaccine paper, kind of like what Nazis did.
Some could say that, but at the same time, it's like, why this long? And here's the stupid thing about this implementation is, some places, if you showed that you had a negative COVID test, then you were okay to enter. But this place, you're not allowed to use a negative COVID test. You must have the vaccine, or you're not allowed to enter. But again, then it comes out, oh, well, even if you had the vaccine, you could still spread the virus. Then what's the point of a fucking vaccine? And not only that, you could go inside the building and spread the vaccine because you have the card. But you could show a negative COVID test. That means you don't have it. And nope, not allowed in there, even though you're not going to spread it. Like, so much bullshit with this that really needs to stop.
Indeed. You heard him, Tony.
Wait, what?
Tony, was it implemented at your work too, or do you have to have the vaccine to work at your job?
Well, yeah, we're a pharmacy. We had to. We're a pharmacy.
Okay. Like, I understood at the time, fine, it's during this time, but now that things are settling down and people are now more worried about monkeypox, which again, I find it hard to believe that that's a national emergency when most people are getting it through gay sex.
Yep. And I did kind of heard that's the only people that are getting affected by it.
Most of them. There's people that are, it's not just limited to them, but that's typically where it's getting the most transmission. So what? Are we going to have to wear a mask on our ass now, even if we're straight and we do not like to take it up the ass?
Well, I'm pretty sure Tony loves that for him to...
Very funny. I think we said everything we had to say. Like, it's just that I'm glad we don't have to wear masks anymore and stuff. I stopped. There are people I know who still wear masks, like my boss, and a couple of people still wear masks.
And that's their choice. I'm okay with it being somebody's choice. I don't like being forced to do that. Or not only that, I don't like you being shut down if you're questioning it. Like, you're not even allowed to question what's going on. Like, that was the scary part. Would you agree?
Mm-hmm. It was. I agree, definitely.
Even more scarier than Miley Cyrus.
Miley Cyrus and the Bangers era. Yeah, even scarier than that. Who could have thought?
Yeah.
Even more scarier than Tony's girlfriend.
No, I think Tony's girlfriend's mother is scarier.
Okay, safe enough.
I would say that, I don't think we're as fearful about it anymore. There are definitely still people who still wear masks, and that's their choice. Like a few weeks ago, I was at a wedding, and at the same time, I was at a table. The table across from me, I saw a woman who, when it was time to eat dinner, held her mask in her hand, and every time she took a bite, she put the mask right back on and held the mask back on with her hand, only to just lower it when she was taking a bite. And I'm just like, what the fuck are you doing? And there's still people that do that.
She must put a diaper on her face.
That's what it felt like at the time. I mean, South Park made fun of it greatly, calling them chin diapers. That's pretty much what they felt like. You mean we have to wear a diaper above our nose? Fuck you, Fauci.
Yeah, fuck Fauci.
So, who really knows at this point? I mean, obviously, I don't know when my building in the city of Los Angeles is going to stop implementing it. It's almost going to be a year at this point where they're still implementing the vaccine.
Maybe if they can get rid of that dick of a governor they have, then maybe things will go back to normal or something.
Oh, yeah, the same governor who told us during Thanksgiving of 2020, oh, no, don't travel. Or he told us if we're going to meet for Thanksgiving, you have to do it outside, you have to keep your mask on, and you're not allowed to sing. Remember hearing about that?
I remember that. We didn't even have a Thanksgiving celebration or a Christmas celebration because of that.
This is the guy that was caught at a French Laundry restaurant breaking his own rules, and it wasn't the first time he was caught breaking his own rules. In fact, I remember the Super Bowl, or actually the game before it was the NFC Championship game, the Rams and 49ers, and at SoFi Stadium, or SoFi, however you want to pronounce it. It's Gavin Newsom, Eric Garcetti, and the mayor of San Francisco were all pictured with Magic Johnson not wearing masks. So you had all these people going, well, what the fuck, dude? You're telling us to wear them, and here you are not wearing them? And right after that is when LA started to ease the restrictions on indoor mask ruling. Who would have thought? That's what was funny.
Isn't that the same year where you see these celebrities at the Super Bowl that are not wearing masks?
Yeah, there was Ellen DeGeneres taking a picture, and she's taking a selfie, and she doesn't have a mask on. Now, goodness, I don't know if she wore it during the game. I don't know, but the picture speaks for itself. Meanwhile, I've seen like at a sushi restaurant one day, I saw Ellen on for whatever reason, and all of her audience members all had to wear matching baby blue masks.
Those people must have run off a hive mind.
Oh God. That's when I was like, why the fuck are we doing this still?
Because if Ellen says jump, they'll say how high?
Possibly.
I wonder
Come on, Tony. There's got to be some experiences you remember that you could bring up.
I'm trying to remember. I mean, I'm trying to remember like experience like it's like having to have hand sanitizer with you everywhere you go, like in your car or at work or home, everywhere. It's like you had to bring that stuff everywhere.
Oh, speaking of cars, what did you think of all the people who drove alone inside a car with a mask on?
I was one of those people at first, actually.
Why?
I don't know. I just didn't. I was just superstitious about catching it.
From what? How are you going to catch it if you're alone in a car with a 2-ton vehicle surrounding you?
I don't know. Just very safe and sorry.
Pussy.
What the fuck? Tony, you were not going to catch it with a 2-ton vehicle surrounding you with the windows closed. Now, it was the only time I actually found it like, okay, Uber required it, or people on ride shares, the drivers still had to wear them with the passengers in them. All right. You, Tony, doing it just for the heck of it. Like, what the fuck, dude? How are you going to get a virus?
I was just trying to be safe, okay?
From what, though?
Okay, that's enough. Stop.
Tony, from what?
I was gonna go into a restaurant, and that's why.
Are you sure?
Okay, you could put it on before you go into the restaurant, but then even then you were going to go in the restaurant and take your mask off anyway.
I was ordering takeout.
Okay. Fine.
Tony, are you sure you're not trying to fit in with a woke crowd or something?
No.
That's the thing is Tony is not a woke person. I've known him for years. He's not really anything like the people that choose to wear masks in a car, but I guess you are. In this case you are. I don't know. But Greg, what did you think about the people that did that?
Honestly, I think it's just pathetic.
It's one thing if you forgot to take it off, but keeping it on knowingly, again, what were you protecting yourself from? You weren't going to spread it to anybody, and you weren't getting it from everybody.
There were people around me in the restaurant.
In the restaurant, that's one thing, but not in the fucking car.
Okay, Anthony. Okay.
Wow, this is punching a nerve on you, isn't it?
Yeah, it kind of is.
Why?
Feels like you won't stop getting on me about it.
Because it was stupid. That's why. And you don't seem to think it was stupid, or you don't want to own up to it. You don't want to.
I'm recording.
You don't want to say, oh.
Keep asking me. Hold that thought.
This is really entertaining. Oh God, dumpster fires are fun sometimes. He doesn't want to admit to it. Like, come on.
Okay, I'm back. She had a question about something. Nothing important.
You're going to stand by your decision, Tony, and say, yes, I wore a mask in the car, and I didn't think it was stupid.
Right?
Okay. We're just going to leave. We will just leave it at that then. Meanwhile, everybody listening is laughing at you, so thank you for that. Boy, it seems to do I guess we pushed Tony's buttons a little too much, haven't we, Greg?
Hold on. I got a phone call. Hold on.
Would that be your girl?
I wonder who it is.
It's my friend. It's a counselor.
Right.
Continue. Never mind, her phone died. So let's just wrap this up.
Oh yeah, I need help, doctor. I mean, I can't do time management. I forget when we're supposed to do podcasts, and I thought it was a good idea to wear a mask alone in the car.
That makes me wonder if he ever wears a condom during bed.
Well, maybe you put on a seatbelt when you're on the toilet.
Very funny. So
You don't have any other talking points, Tony. You don't have any defense over the things that Greg and I were saying?
No.
Why?
It's your opinion.
Okay, but my opinion is right sometimes.
Yeah, you're right sometimes.
Sometimes. When am I wrong?
No, it's not a matter of being right or wrong. If you have opinion on something, that's all that matters.
But what happens if the opinions are facts?
Just saying.
Like, it was a fact that wearing a mask alone in the car was fucking stupid. Oh, this is going to be a fun edit.
Yeah.
Well, that's it for today's Dumpster Error, a.k.a. Burgers and Fries. I'm Anthony, a.k.a. Desert Coyote 22. Thanks for listening.